The reason why most women leave their boyfriends is not because they even want to, it's because of like people putting things in their brains. Like a lot of times I've realized that being in solitude for so long and just like enjoying my own time, I've learned so many things about myself and I've improved. Am I better? Yes, I am better. Have I changed who I am? Uh, I've tweaked some things. I used to have like a really bad anger issue, but I realized that like I'm okay. Like if I've gotten rest, if I've slept for, some hours where I'm rested and if I've eaten, I'm not hungry, I'm fine. Like those are the things for the most part, you know what I mean? I have I've had a boyfriend. He used to like sometimes do things to try to get me upset. And then like recently, I've seen him. He's an ex, and I just noticed why he would do it. Like he's the only black guy working with a bunch of white guys in construction, and he would just tell me how like white men will bully you, especially like in Canada where I'm from. I'm Canadian. It's like in places that are predominantly white or when you're working with like all white guys. I'm not saying like all white people are bad, obviously. Like there are some white people that I love. I love Taylor Swift. I love Ed Sheeran. You know what I mean? But for the most part, you have those people that are racist here and there. And Canada is like a multi diverse place. So it's like you might talk, or people might talk to you and you don't understand what they're saying. But rather than being an asshole about it, like just say that you don't understand or try to understand. A lot of times I go to work and I'm talking to people, and sometimes I don't necessarily understand all that they're saying, but I can listen, understand that people have different accents, and really take in what they're trying to say. But that comes from a loving, empathetic place, right? So, what I've also noticed about him is like sometimes when you're around people that trigger you, it could get to you, and sometimes you become the people you're around. So that's why I always say it's like so important to just like think for yourself. Back to what I was saying in terms of like women leaving their boyfriends. Like if you've been with a guy for like so long and something happens, and you could choose to forgive him and stay. But the worst thing I think is when like you listen to the opinion of others and do that. Like sometimes love is love. Like a lot of times men especially like to justify collectively why they cheat. It's like I'm a man. I need pom pom. You know what I mean? But personally, some guys, for example, as a black woman, like when you date black guys, sometimes their junk is so huge that it's like you might as well because it's too much for me anyways. Reality is nobody wants to share the person they love with someone else. Um, and it really does hurt your feelings when like you find out that like the person that you've been loving on, especially if you've been doing a lot of things for this person. That's why like I feel like women that get into relationships with men and they're paying most of this, you're obviously going to be hurt as hell for the most part, and that's going to cause you to do like so many like wrong things. That's why like whenever you're getting into any relationship, it's just so important to be you, be happy, I'm happy, and we come together and we decide that like we're going to try a thing. If it works forever, then great. If not, you try again with someone else. As for me, people that I've been in relationships with, I'll always have love for them in my heart somewhere because you can't always remember just the bad that happened. You remember the good that happened too. That's why I'm so forgiving. But it's because I'm able to see things from many different perspectives. Like, I'm just a forgiving person. Like, I don't hold on to things and let it do too much to me. But that's also because I live my life for me. I do what I can. If somebody asks me for something and I can do it for them, I'll do it. If I can't, I don't like go out of my way. Again, like I said, people that go out of their way and they sacrifice so much for others, you end up being really bitter. Especially the women who take care of men and spend all their money, and it's like you're making most of the money, you're doing all this. You don't do that. You let a man be a man. Like, I know real men, and real men work hard and they take care of themselves and they take care of others. And if you're out here as a woman doing these things where like you're paying most of the bills and you're taking care of a man, that is crazy. It means you don't value yourself and like you're not really confident. While I'm not saying that it's not a bad thing to help someone out, like if you can, but I've heard of women that are like, you have your good job and then you pick up a guy and you're paying all the bills and all he does is like stick around, maybe do like, some of the house stuff. He's fucking you, okay, but that could hurt, especially when you find out that he cheated on you with someone else, someone younger or something. But at the end of the day, this is just something that I've learned as a person. When you go into relationships and you're happy and the other person is happy and there's no expectations in any way, it's just like, I'm here to love you, you love me back, everything goes smoothly. But when certain things are involved where one person is doing more than the other, that's a recipe for disaster. Yeah, I personally sometimes hold on to stuff and then I'll get upset because like I operate based on my thoughts and my feelings, and then I realize that people are really just living their lives. Like, whether you leave him or not, like if you leave him, he's just gonna move on with someone else. Quite literally. And if you're gonna be bitter about it and waste like how many years, 6 years, just thinking about it, what's the point in that? But like I always like to say, everybody's different, so you'll heal how you heal. But it's just so important to do things with intention, communicate, say what the expectations are. There's always expectations, whether we want to admit it or not. Like, if I'm showing you love, I expect to receive love back. That's an expectation. In the case where I'm not, it's kind of like you just realize, well, this isn't for me because I'm loving you, but you're not loving me back. It's just like observation, not in words, but in actions. You observe how people treat you. That's like the number one thing. And yeah, as for me, I'm always be okay because I'm so grateful. My mom is a beautiful woman. My grandmother is a strong, beautiful woman. She passed away, R.I.P. to her. But I know my lineage, I know where I come from. I know my mother. I love my mother. My mom's probably the love of my life. And when you could look at your line of like the women before you and see how they lived their life, my grandmother took care of her kids and other people's kids. My mom is such a giver, just the same. I'm a giver, but with boundaries. You know what I mean? But it's just love. That's all love. Like, when you operate just loving and being so grateful, you just manifest so many more things. And I don't even know like how we got here. Maybe it's just me expressing like, how if I loved you before, I'ma always love you, and this is like how I'm not gonna ever be a bitter person, because bitterness doesn't run in my family. We love and we do what we gotta do. So yeah, being grateful, communicating, just loving, doing the right thing no matter what, you gonna always be fine. Always be fine.